Ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, every one of you. Welcome to our platform, Relationship Matters. Relationship Matter is our platform, your platform, where we talk about everything concerning relationship, most especially concerning marriages. Now, we have been dealing on the topic of the four major habits that can destroy a marriage. And today, today we want to go further. We have to talk about another habit that can destroy a marriage if care is not taken. Okay. Now, remember, before we go on, we always remind ourselves that a successful marriage takes what? Number one, hard work. You have to work hard on your marriage to make sure you not allow the enemy to destroy it because it's your life. And secondly, we always say that the success of a marriage depends on you to work on yourself to become the right person for your partner. And thirdly, we always say that the success of a marriage depends on you learning to know, to understand, and eventually to fall in love with the person that the Lord are giving to you. If you do that, very sure your marriage will be stronger and successful. Now, last week we started part one of the habit that can destroy a marriage. Okay. And today we go to part two. Now, what is the second habit or the thing that can destroy a marriage if care is not taken? It is what we call by lack of intimacy. Okay. Lack of intimacy. Lack of intimacy is an habit or a way that if we don't really take care about it, it can be very detrimental to our marriage, to our relationship. Lack of intimacy. Now, what makes a couple unique is the level of intimacy. A couple that dwell in intimacy, who have a strong, intimate relationship between them, have a higher chances to be a successful marriage. Where the intimate relationship are weakened, there is a bit of a gap between the two spouses. It is a problem for that relationship to last longer. That is why, um, according to psychology, many marriages they do hit the rock when there is a lack of intimacy. Now, what is intimacy? Intimacy is that unseen secret between the two spouses. It's something that you don't see, but that is what really binds you together. That intimate relationship. When you are together as a couple, that intimate relationship is what makes you a unique couple. That makes you different from a partnership. You see, a partnership, because you are in the partnership because of interest, mostly business interests, commercial interests, money interests, things like that, or because you are, anything you want to gain. But when it comes to a relationship, which it comes marriage, that intimate relationship takes a different level. It becomes more tighter. That means that you don't hide anything from your partner. You give to your partner who you are, the most secret tiny part of you which nobody else knows. Sorry, you share it with your spouse. That is intimacy. Okay. Now, most of the times when a marriage is going to problem, to difficulties, according to psychology, usually people always say, well, in that marriage we became like roommates. We become like roommates. When you become like a roommate with your spouse, that is a sign that there is somehow, somewhere, your intimate relationship is broken down. That means that the trust is gone. You don't share the secret among yourself anymore. You don't talk openly anymore. You are not enjoying to talk, to share, to be together anymore. You become like roommates. You remember, for some of us who have been at university, when you go to a campus, you are roommate. You can share your rooms with somebody, but not being intimate with that person. You are just sharing the room together, but there are certain things you hide towards the person. That is a roommate. But when you are intimate related with the person, there are things that you can't help but to share with that person. Then you become intimate related. Now, there are two types of intimacy. You have what we call by emotional intimacy, and you call obviously what we call by sexual intimacy. Okay, let us start with emotional intimacy. What does that mean? Emotional intimacy is the ability to learn, to know, to understand your spouse. Okay, that is very, very important. That it comes in the level of emotion, a level of psychology, a level of understanding the knowledge of your partner. So because your wife or is your husband, what you need to do, you must go to the level to have a deeper understanding, knowledge of your spouse, meaning knowing your spouse habit, they like, they dislike, discover. Every time you discover something new about your spouse. Why is so important? Because that comes as a result of the tight relationship you have with your spouse. You see, that's why we call it intimacy, emotional intimacy. You are intimate, you are like inseparable in this in your dealing, in your talking, in your thought, in your mind, in your reflection. All of these things you are very tight. That leads you to really understand your spouse better. You know what your spouse does in the morning. You know what your spouse does when he comes from work, what your spouse like, dressing, the color he like, everything he like, the taste, everything. So you must discover what is particular about your spouse. You cannot know it unless you are intimately related with somebody. You see, because it's in your house. It is a part of you. Therefore, emotional intimacy is very, very crucial for a marriage to last longer, because the lack of that understanding of who I am, who you are, it creates a gap between us. So you are like strangers. You don't know. That's why when your spouse reacts somehow, you also react. So there's something is lacking. But when you begin to know your spouse, the habit, what your spouse like, dislike, even his reaction, you begin now to understand why my spouse react this way, why my spouse does things this way. So it gives you the confidence to know the person you are living with, and that also makes you to even defend that person. The people for outside may have a different opinion about the person. They say, oh, look at that person like this. But you who know your spouse very intimately, you can be able to say, no, my spouse is like this, my spouse is like this, my spouse is like, because you know the person very well. Even when problem arises, you will be able to understand, to navigate through the problem. You will be able to how to solve that problem easily. You don't need anybody, a third person, to come and try to solve your problem. No, because you have a deeper understanding of your spouse, that gives you a good platform for you to build up your relationship. Therefore, emotional intimacy is very, very important. A matter of fact, for you to live together, that emotional intimacy should be at the head. Because when you begin to know each other, now you can forgive one another. Now you can understand one another. Now you can be able to compromise because you understand one another. You see, that is emotional intimacy. So, really, my advice is learn to discover your partner on daily basis, because it's very difficult to know the heart of a man apart from God who knows the heart of a man. We can only know in part. But when we are living together during a period of time, we come to discover who the person I'm living with, who is that person, what is the reaction, how does the person does things. That is intimate part of it, the emotional part of it. Okay, now that help to maintain a long lasting relationship in a marriage. Now, let us look at the second part of it. Now, the sexual intimacy. Well, most of the time, mostly in on Afro-Caribbean or Asian marriages, or we don't like talking about sexual intimacy. We look at it, oh, it's a dirty thing. We don't want to talk about it. Hey, let me tell you, even the Bible itself talk about sex in the Bible. It's spoken about it. God who created a human being created sex. So it's not a dirty talk. No, it's actually a good thing to talk about it. Because when you talk about it, the more you understand something, the more it becomes better for you. We should not take it as a taboo or something. No, no, don't talk about it. But actually, we are being hypocrites because these are the things you like doing, but you don't want to talk about it. But it is better to talk about it A by A, E by E. Let it be plain so that we understand. For a marriage to be strong, what makes you to be husband and wife is what? Is sexual intercourse. It's sex that makes you to be husband and wife. So if you remove sex from your relationship, you become just partners, you become just roommates. And according to psychology, many marriages they go to problems when there is a lack of sexual intercourse. It's not all that makes a marriage to stand, but it is a big part of it. It is a big part of it. That's why it's very important that we talk about it. Okay. Now, what makes your marriage unique is actually your sexual life, you and your husband. According to nature, that act supposed to be done between only two of you. You see how intimate it is. It's something that is precious to you. You see, it's something that is precious to you, something that you cannot expose it outside. Therefore, you can only expose it in the secret place between you and your husband. You see, so you cannot be naked outside because it becomes embarrassing. You yourself, you cannot walk naked. But actually, in the marriage, it's even healthier when both of you are naked. You enjoy the nakedness of your husband or the nakedness of your wife. That's how it is. So that's what makes you to be intimately linked together. Okay, so sex is a very, very important part of a healthy, long lasting relationship. When sexual intercourse is very limited in the marriage, it can lead to many problems. Now, let us develop it more deeper. Now, you see, for instance, for us who believe in the Bible, right? The Bible verse says this that husband, your body belong to the wife. Wife, your body belong to your husband. Okay, so do not deprive each other sexual urge or sexual activities. Do not allow the devil to tempt you. The only time you can deny your husband or your wife sexual activities is only when, in common accord, you decide to take a time to seek for the Lord, to pray or to fast. You can say, okay, for 1 week, we are not having any sexual intercourse. We are just concentrating on praying, fasting. But the Bible says when you finish, immediately come back again so that you can continue to enjoy your sexual life. Very important. So therefore, my brother, my sister, your body belongs to your husband. Do not deny your husband access to you. Do not deny your wife access to you. If you do that, you will destroy your relationship. Why? Because it's just like saying the husband come from work, right? You have been in the house before he comes in. You are not cooked. He say, "Oh, I want to eat." There's no food. Now we are living in the modern world. He have money in his pocket. What do you think he will do? You go out, go and buy takeaway, or go and buy McDonald's to come and eat. Am I right? That is the same thing happen here. If one of you want to have sex and you say, oh, well, I cannot do it, things like that, once you understand. But when it becomes repetitive, what happens is you are actually pushing your husband or your wife out of the door. You are actually telling him you can go and buy it outside. So you can see that you are actually indirectly destroying your own marriage. So therefore, it is very important that you do not make it difficult for your husband to have access to sexual relationship or your wife to have access to sexual relationship with you. In main, according to psychology again, according to the survey, the statistic, that many marriages are broken down or many people have affair when one spouse is denying the other one access to sex. You see, because the other one want to be satisfied, but the other one say, oh, this is it and this is it. So eventually it will lead to one of you one of the person starting an affair outside. And when you go there, you say, yeah, you see, my wife does not provide for me, that's why, or my husband is not providing, that is why. So therefore, sexual intimacy is very, very important for a strong, lasting relationship. Okay. Now, of course, sexual intimacy need to be nurtured. That means that it's something that you need to prepare for it, to make sure that it is something that you can enjoy, both of you can enjoy it. I understand in the society we are living, things like workload, family can make one tired. When one is tired, it sucks too much energy from you. So the last thing you want is to have sex. So the next thing you want is just to go and rest and relax so that you can refuel yourself for next day you are going back to work. When you reach that level, what do you do? It's very important that you have um, a clear talk with your spouse. You have a clear talk with your spouse so that you can make things better so both of you can have time to enjoy it. So to nurture your relationship, there are a few things that you can do to nurture your sexual intimacy. The first thing you can do is what we call by fair play. What is fair play? Fair play is that whatever you do during the day, he will tune you to have sex later on, either in the evening or at night. Okay, that's what they call by fair play. For instance, how you talk to your spouse, you talk to your husband, you talk to your wife, how you are touching each other, how you talk throughout the day, how you are helping each other, that will make both of you to be appreciated, and that will tune you to wanting to have sex during the night or during the evening. So that the fair play is very important. So how you play, how you do all of those things, your work, how you are appreciating your husband, your wife, how you are talking nice word to your husband, your wife. These are the things that can help to maintain the drive, the sexual drive. Even when you are old, you still have that sexual drive. Very important. When that is done, you are actually building your house. You see, you are trying to maintain your spouse indoor, because if he or she has what he needed in the house, I don't need to look outside because I already have it in the house. It's when somebody don't have it in the house that it can look outside. Okay, as I said before, most of the time the blame comes to you. You have to check, am I doing the right thing to maintain my husband or my wife or not? So fair play is very, very important. The second thing you can do is, as I said before, I cannot go back to our former videos, but you can go back there to look at when you take time to have like a date, to go out, night out, a date with your husband, sorry, a date with your husband, to go night out, for instance, that also is something that stimulates sexual intercourse. Imagine you went out, you have a dinner, you ate with in a different place. You see, your mind is so fresh. When you come back, you see, it rekindle that relationship with you. That is again one of the part we call fair play as well. So that rekindle relationship, and you want to hug each other, and that will make sure that that drive is still there. Okay, so that is very important. Or you can go on a vacation, as we said before. When you keep on changing places, instead of staying in the same place for 365 days a year, no, time to time you can break up, go somewhere together with your spouse. When you come back, you refresh, you change atmosphere, and that can maintain also the sexual intimacy between the two of you. Okay. Now, another thing that can have a bad impact in your relation, in your sexual intimacy, is mostly when you are having children around, you are bringing up the children. Okay, the husband or the wife is there, you come from work, you are cooking, you have to wash the thing, you have to take care of the children, things like that. It sucks energy from you. You are tired. Yes. When it's like that, what you need to do, you need to talk to your husband, talk to your wife, say, okay, let us share the workload so that a time will come, we take care of children, both of us. The children go to bed, then we have time for ourselves. We may sit down watching TV or things like that, eating together. That also can drive the sexual drive between the two of you. If it's only one person is doing the job, of course she's a human being. The wife will be tired. What she need to do is just to go and rest. But you are coming, you say, no, I want to make love, things like she said, no, I'm not ready. That's what happens. So therefore, for your own good, for your marriage, because if you keep on doing that, your husband may not understand it. You are actually pushing him towards the door. So the best thing to do is to have a talk. Say, honey, I know that you want it. I know that you want to have, but let us share the workload. Let us do everything together. He's your husband. You are together. Surely he will understand. And you can share the workload, put everything, then you have your own time between yourself. Okay. Now, according also to the statistic, the survey, many young marriages, they go through difficult period of time concerning sexual intimacy when they have new children, a newborn, for instance, when a child is born. Of course, usually the woman is the one who take more care of the child. Again, the woman should dedicate more attention to be taking care of the child. Is understandable, but sometimes men don't understand that, you see. So what you need to do, because remember, before the child came, it was your husband first. So therefore the attention must be given to the husband, because he was there before you. So the best thing to do is to create a balance. Again, you come back, have a talk with the husband, say, now we have a child. Is our child, both of us. If we share the workload, you do part, I do part, both of us we feel it, both of us we have more time for our relationship. Because most of the time is the wife have been taking care of the child, I've been bathing the child, doing this, doing that. When she come back to bed, she's tired. Now the man come and say, oh, I want to make love, and that can create a problem, you see. So on this platform, we're giving the advice that what you can do to prevent those things from happening. That's why we're talking about these things. Okay. So the lack of sexual intimacy is very damaging. It can bring a big blow to your relationship. That is where affairs start. That's where quarrels start. That's where somebody is not satisfied in that marriage. You see, you may have all the monies in the world. You may lavish with the money, everything that, but when the sexual intimacy is broken down, it can damage your marriage. That's why the more you take care of it, the better for you. So these are the two things that you we can get from tonight. Is that number one is what? Emotional intimacy, to understand your partner very well. That will stimulate the love you are towards your partner. You understand your partner, and that will even help you to live together. Number two is the sexual intimacy we talk about. That don't make it difficult access. Don't allow your partner to find it difficult to access sex. No, it should be something that is there in the house for both of you to enjoy it. So that comes with a compromise, working together, understanding what are the priority, and making time so that you can enjoy it more. And when those two intimate parts are well understood and you work on them, you will have a very strong relationship that will last longer. Okay. So this is all I wanted to share with you tonight. I hope you are getting something today. And we just pray that your marriage, you enjoy more sexual intimacy in your marriage. You enjoy more emotional intimacy in your marriage. So we stop here tonight and we continue next week with the third habit that can destroy your marriage. For the now, have a blessed evening and we see you next Monday. Now, make sure you share those messages with your friends. If you enjoy them, share them with your friend, and we see you again. Bye bye.